Welcome to Pro Tour Golf College Thailand and our seminars to introduce the project to you here in Thailand. I'm just going to go through today and give you a good overall view of what we do at Pro Tour Golf College and the way we go about training. So if you have any questions, please ask me at the end. Pro Tour Golf College is a full-time golf training program for tour players and those who want to be tour players. Where we start is, what is it that you're aspiring to do? What is it that you aspire to achieve? And you've got to have a dream to be able to live your dream. We know that this week coming up is the Open Championship, and that should be for male golfers one dream. So who are Pro Tour Golf College and the philosophy behind it? My name is Andrew Knott. I'm the Director of Instruction at Pro Tour Golf College Thailand. I've got a strong focus on performance-based training and how we improve the level of our performance. In search of doing that, I've worked and got my PGA qualifications. I'm a Class AA member of the PGA of Great Britain and Ireland. I'm also a member of Carl Morris's Mind Factor coaching team. For those of you who don't know Carl Morris, he worked with several major players, and I do some personal mentoring with Carl on that. Finding Pro Tour Golf College, I was fortunate about 12 months ago to meet two very experienced coaches in David Milne and Laurie Montague, and they created the Pro Tour Golf College system, which was based on lowering your golf score, and it matched exactly the philosophies I was done, and it really blew me away how they designed the project and what we could achieve with that, and I was really keen to get involved right from the start. To tell you a little bit more about David, the director and founder of Pro Tour Golf College, is a member of the Australian PGA and a former Australian tour player. He moved into coaching and has had a distinguished career coaching players on all tours all around the world. People who have played in several major championships, winning tour events, breaking records on the nationwide tour, 3 amateur world #1s, 11 Australian amateur champions, and he's been Coach of the Year twice in Australian Digest, amongst many, many other awards that he's received. Laurie is co-founder. He's another member of the PGA Australia, having completed on the Australasian Tour. In the 90s, he was both a state and national coach for the ladies, and he moved on to develop and run several high-performance academies, coaching players to 8 national championships. And he coached a young Amy Yang to become the youngest winner of a professional golf tournament. She's gone on to compete on the LPGA and has finished 4th in the Kraft Nabisco this year and 2nd in the US Ladies Open. He's got an amazing source of knowledge in both technique and psychology, and an insatiable appetite for gaining and applying knowledge. And Pro Tour Golf College really is a culmination of research and that knowledge. Laurie works not only in the golfing industry but also in the business and corporate industry. Pro Tour Golf College codes, what it takes to be successful on tour. Well, this is a very simple formula, but it's one that's really important to understand, and it explains why some people succeed in life in all areas, whilst others keep continually to do the same thing and not move forwards. I'm strongly going to presume here that most people in the golfing world are looking for results. You know, what we score and how well we play, that really strongly affects how we get paid. I'm also going to strongly presume that most of those who want to reach the top put in a lot of effort to do so. But there's the you in the middle, and that's what's missing and what most people don't get, and why they don't get to that top area. So what is the you? The you is understanding. Okay? Do you truly understand your golf game? Do you truly understand what you need to do to get where you want to get to what that dream is? You know, the starting point of that is, How many people can actually tell me what their competitive scoring average is right now? Okay. Not what it's about, but what it exactly is, your exact competitive scoring average. If you don't know where you are, how can you feel like you can get on and move forward and get to where your dreams are? So that moves us to our next code, 1242. And this is what Pro Tour Golf College get all of our students to work towards. 1242 is what it takes to be a world-class, to compete successfully in a world-class golfer. 12 bars, 4 birdies, 2 bogeys. If you at the end of the season can average throughout every round of golf you play 12 pars, 4 birdies and 2 bogeys, you will be world class. Now sure, that doesn't mean that we expect you to make 12 pars, 4 birdies and 2 bogeys every round. Some days it's going to be 7 birdies, other days it might be 0. But at the end of the year, if you can average these numbers, that's what it takes to be a successful player or two. So how do we help you do that at Pro Tour Golf College? Well, let's have a look at a typical week here. We have 2 main focuses: deliberate practice and the recording of every shot. Now there are 3 questions you need to ask yourself. What are your current practice objectives? What is it that you're going out to do and achieve when you go to the practice tee on a daily basis? What is the overall purpose of those objectives? So if you're going to practice your driving, what's the overall purpose? How's that actually going to affect your golf score? And where do you see your score average in 12 months' time? Okay? These are what we need to know, what you need to be doing on a daily basis. What we like to ask players to do if they're interested in Pro Tour Golf College and our systems, and even for your own development, is to start collecting data about your golf game, especially your scoring average. How many fairways do you hit? How many greens in regulation do you have? How many putts per round do you take? Things like that can give you some indications as to what your strengths and weaknesses are in your golf game. Once we've got that information, we break our training down into several different areas. Firstly, we have training days, and these are our workload days, where we'll give you a set amount of shots to hit to specific targets. Every shot is still hit with being completely engaged in what you're trying to do, and we're going to we'll record every single shot. But now you'll be probably hitting a higher volume of shots and recording and getting some data. We then have testing days where you can really see how strong your skills are. We'll still be using the same similar formats that we use in training days, but the workload won't be quite so high now, and you'll be testing and measuring the exact result of every shot. And by that we mean usually the proximity to the target, how far each shot finishes from the target that you were aiming at. And we're going to get your average distance to targets. We then have challenge days. On certain days of the week, we're going to get you to perform under pressure, head-to-head with the other students, and really measure you with your peers. And that's what happens in golf, so that's what we want to do. Here we'll be setting certain tasks and drills, and you'll get 1 shot each, just 1 chance, like you would in a normal golf round, to play that way and to see how you stand against your others in all of the skill areas. We then have competition days. Once a week we have a Pro Tour Golf College tournament, and we expect players to turn up and play as if they were playing a tournament round. We get you, when you join Pro Tour Golf College, to actually write out what your pre-tournament round warm-up is, and we expect you to actually perform that, and we'll be monitoring that, and it also will help us to judge it. We also run the scores. We'll be pasting those on Facebook and on the website, just like it was a tournament throughout the semester that we do. We also give some seminars. We look at every aspect of your golfing game. So we're going to deal with the psychology, your preparation, your fitness and nutrition, and every area of golf. And we take some time out once a week to sit in the classroom and to discuss some general areas. Whilst also, when you're doing the training, we're there giving you feedback at every step. We're monitoring and feeding back to you while you're out on the range practicing and hitting balls. outside of the Pro Tour Golf College time, you need to be putting in extra week work. We're training 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's 30 hours a week. But if you really want to be successful, you need to be putting in some extra work. That could be going out and playing 9 holes in the afternoon, maybe working extra time on the range if you need to get a new move permanent, or it might just be your fitness and going to the gym that you're working on. The question I would ask about that is how serious about you competing successfly on tour. It's an amazing competitive sport, and if you're not prepared to go that extra mile and put that work in, you're not going to make it out there. Okay, so there's a typical week with us. Okay, performance is more than just your technique. You need to look at other areas of your game to succeed. Any player who gets to Pro Tour Golf College, and all the people here have gotten to this level as either pro or elite amateur with the swing that they've got. Do you really need to change? Do you really need to change your whole method? We actually believe at Pro Tour Golf College, if you do that, you will fail. If you keep changing or go to a complete new method from where you're at now, you will fail in your attempt as a professional golfer. What you need to do is look at where the areas are you need to do. Maybe make some slight adjustments to your technique. Maybe learn some new shots. Think about how those adjustments and what it's going to do, what impact that's going to have to your golf score. Okay, that's all that matters. What we want to do is go beyond technique. So we look at deliberate practice, golf mind, your equipment, your fitness, and your nutrition. Okay? And we'll deal with these. As this series of seminars progresses, we will deal with these different areas each time for you and elaborate. Your equipment, just on a quick piece on that, how many people know, how many have been properly fitted, first of all, for every piece of equipment that they use? Testing properly for shafts and the different ball flights that they give you, that's what's important. How many people also know that all of the manufacturers in the industry, they claim that they'll give up to a 1 degree tolerance on all of their clubs when they come out of the factory. What this means is if your 7-iron was 1 degree weak and your 6-iron was 1 degree strong, you would have a 6 degree difference in those two clubs when there's supposed to be 4. Vice versa, if your 8-iron was 2 degrees strong with that 7-iron was 2 degrees weak, there'd only be 2 degrees. So you could be standing on the range all week, practicing, hitting great shots. You go out to play in a tournament and you don't get the results you're looking for. You're not controlling your ball flight. You go back to the range and change your swing, when really it was just your equipment. If you're not checking it and making sure it's correct, you're going to struggle to make the performances you want. Your fitness is so important, and I found this quote that really sums it up to me about how hard you should work. It's from Rory McIlroy when he first started dating Caroline Wozniacki, the famous tennis player, and what he said was, they worked so hard that sort of made me realise that I could probably work harder, and gave me a little bit more motivation to go in the gym and hit more balls. It's definitely paid off. And at the time when he wrote this, he was in a great run of form, and his physical ability has changed so much that he hasn't had to change his swing, but he can now hit the same shots without having to hit the ball quite so hard, and it's really taken to his game. If that can happen for Rory McIlroy, I'm sure a lot of other people need to have a look at themselves as well. Finally, your nutrition. The food that you eat and the water that you intake, that has a massive effect on your performance. We're all individuals and we're all different, and therefore you need to make sure you've got a nutritional program that makes the most of your performance. Preparation and course management. Periodisation training is something else that we'll look at and we'll touch on in other seminars that we've got coming up. Your warm-up and your course plan is so important. Again, we're going to touch on those later in other seminars. Another quote here from Lee Westwood about making decisions on the course, to avoid it at all costs. What Lee said was, you can play well, but if you don't make the right decisions, you're not going to make a good score. And on a day when you don't play particularly well, if you make the right decisions, you can minimise the damage and walk off with a respectable score that can keep you in a tournament. Sometimes you get an instinct, but there's definitely a decision to be made based on the information available. Normally you make a plan in practice rounds and you stick to that. What's really interesting about that quote is the way that Lee talks about how making the good decisions can minimise the damage on a day when you're not playing well. And one of the things we focus heavily on at Pro Tour Golf College is reducing your high score average. Your low score average, when you're playing well, those scores will come in, but it's reducing your high score average, the score that you make when you're not doing well. And as he quite rightly points in, putting a respectable score on the board that can keep you in a tournament rather than blowing you out of it before you have a chance. Also, if you get a good course plan, a good idea of how you're going to play it, you can actually practice the shots that you're going to need to play. I think probably one of the best examples of this was Tiger Woods when he won the Open at Royal Liverpool at Hoylake. When he decided to hit irons off of every tee, he left himself long approach shots. But because he knew that was his philosophy of how he was going to play it, he could spend the months leading up to that tournament practicing long iron approach shots into the green. And obviously it paid off as he won the tournament and didn't get in any of the fairway bunkers all week long. What we're going to say about that is really failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Danielle Montgomery's been with us. She plays on the Ladies European Tour and she finished second in the South African Open just a couple of weeks ago. Jason Scribner, he's been with Pro Tour Golf College for a while now. After 4 events on the Canadian Tour, he sits 38th in the order of merit. And he struggled last year, so that's a great turnaround. And Jason will be down in Thailand coming soon at the Thailand Open. Whitney Hiller, she's managed to reduce her amateur world ranking from 130th to 13th in just 8 months. Last year, the Indonesian national team were working with Pro Tour Golf College. They spent 4 weeks in Australia prior to the SEA Games. The men finished second, the ladies won. In 2009, the previous SEA Games, they'd finished 6th and 5th respectively. And just prior to the SEA Games, the Future Cup, the ladies had come last in that event. They went to see Pro Tour Golf College and they turned a last into a first. Okay. Ian Andrew, another one of the Indonesians who was with us, he recently played in the Indonesian Open as an amateur and made the cut, which is always a proud moment to play in your own national Open and playing it as an amateur and to make the cut. It's a big achievement. He won the national trials by 12 shots. What Ian had to say, and he posted on Facebook, was thanks for Pro Tour Golf College so I can be like this right now. Back in April we ran a training camp for singers players, and this was just some of the results that we managed to get, and this is the kind of thing that you can expect to see when you work with Pro Tour Golf College and understanding of your game. We won't go through all the results now, but you'll be able to see then what that does. This was from the challenging that we get there. This was the proximity to target day. And what you can see here is with player 1, his average distance to target was 2.34 yards. That's about 7 feet. He averaged hitting the ball around about 7 foot from the hole. It's going to make a lot of opportunities to make birdie. And without naming names, that player has since gone on to win, not surprisingly. If we look further down the list here, player 11 averaged 5.1 yards. That's 15 feet from the target. And you're not going to make too many putts if your wedge play is averaging at 5.1 yards from the target. And that's the things that we do where you can now know that that's an area of the game that needs to be worked on. Well, I hope that this conversation has inspired you and motivated you. Realise that maybe there are other options out there, other ways to develop your game if you feel like you're just in a rut and you're doing the same things and you're not improving. One of my favourite quotes by Albert Einstein, insanity It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Okay? If you've been doing the same things for a while and you're not getting the same scores, you've got to change something and you've got to do something differently. What I want people to realise is it's tough at the top. The reality of being successful in golf and as a professional golfer, it's a tough little world out there. There are hundreds of thousands of players just like you trying to make it. But the reality is there are only some 300 odd spots in the men's game available to what we would consider being successful. And by that I mean players who retain their playing rights for the following successful. You need to be in one of those 300 out of hundreds of thousands. You know, it's tough out there and the failure rate is high. Your attitude is everything. If you want to be a successful player on the PGA Tour or any of the major tours, the attitude you have towards what you do is key to it all. Much more important than your technique and what you do to get your score right. Okay? You've got to give yourself a chance and you've got to stay strong. Again, some quotes from another famous person, an inventor, Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. You know, what he said about his work on inventing the light bulb: I've not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. Okay? And also from him was, many of life's failures are men who didn't realise how close they were to success when they gave up. So many of you might be feeling this is hard work now. You might be right on the corner of that success. Make sure you give yourself the chance. So what to do next? Well, at Pro Tour Golf College, we've been lucky enough to get affiliated with SMG and Singer, and they've invited us to their tournaments running up through July and August. We're going to be giving clinics and seminars at each of the tournaments over the next few weeks. And following on to that, we're going to be running 2 3-day camps for players to come and trial out. The dates haven't been finished yet, but they will be posted and emailed to you very shortly. We're looking like having one the week beginning the 24th of August, or maybe no, the week after the 27th of August, and then also the week the 15th to the 17th of September, something around there. Pro Tour Golf College then launches its first semester in Thailand on the 8th of October. Okay. I'd like to wish the best of luck to everybody. Whether you decide to come with Pro Tour Golf College or whether you go your own route, that's fine. I believe there's a hell of a lot of good golfers in Thailand, and we will see successful golfers in Thailand making it to the top, competing on major tours, competing in major events, and even winning major events. The big question is that person going to be you? So, sign up now, come and see us, give us a call, drop us a line, sign up for one of our limited spots at our training camps. And also for Pro Tour Golf College, which starts on the 7th of October or 8th of October. Places are very, very limited, so make sure that you get in and book one of your places early. Thank you very much.